It's now time to move on over to Business World Business Class. This is hosted by our lovely hostess, who is also a brilliant scholar. Her good name is Miss Swetha Ramesh. Today, Swetha ji, of course, is bringing in an honorable guest by the name of Mr. Vinay Pande. Let's meet him.
Hi, I'm Swetha Ramesh, host of Business World Business Class, where I interview entrepreneurs from the DC metro area as well as around the world. Today I have with me Mr. Vinay Pande, CEO and President of MindBoard. Thank you so much for being on the show.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, how did you first get involved in entrepreneurship?
I just happened to stumble. No, I'm just kidding. As you know, I came on a boat, but no, I actually came here for grad school. Mm-hmm. I went to Clemson, South Carolina, with about $1,100 in my pocket, that my dad had saved over his lifetime. And it, I'd really never had the vision. I just stumbled. I never planned, but it just happened so that I take life as it comes. Mm-hmm. From an entrepreneurship, when I took up my very first job, I tend to get bored very, very quickly. Yeah. Right. So, every job that I've held, it's within the same company. I've spent it. Not that I always jump jobs, mm-hmm. but when I get into a job, I usually get very bored very, very quickly. Yeah. I spent about 17 years with Verizon, so that tells you that I do have longevity, within the company. But from one job to the other, I always constantly was looking for something different to do.
Yeah, something new, right?
Something new, right? And at the end of the day, I must have gone a full circle. I started off doing network engineering, mm-hmm. ended up doing IT for a few years. Went into corporate finance, did mergers and acquisitions for a couple of years.
Mm-hmm. So all over the place.
All over the place, right? Did marketing for a couple of years. Moved into sales.
Oh,
you
wow!
would imagine,
okay.
Right? An engineer doing sales. Did product development for some time, and that is something that I really liked. Okay. And then eventually I came back to IT because technology drives the entire this whole economy, mm-hmm. right? And when there was nowhere else to go. It was to go out. Yeah. And, one of the thought process was to actually, why not work for yourself? Mm-hmm. Having spent so many years, I always thought that I would, all this time and effort that you put for somebody else, why not put it for yourself?
You can never get bored with yourself, right?
Bored for yourself, right? Absolutely. Yeah. So that's, that's a story. That's how I etched up into.
Okay. So you mentioned that you immigrated from India. Mm-hmm. So, how did that kind of change your outlook, change your perspective on how you view business in the United States?
So it's not completely, that I just stumbled into business. My grandfather was a businessman. He had migrated from Rajasthan over to Mumbai. Mm-hmm. So I have a little bit of business blood in me.
A little bit of background.
Right, a little bit of background. My granddad told me, you have to be true to yourself. So he was a bullion trader, mm-hmm. And they used to make deals back in Mumbai and Zaveri Bazaar, mm-hmm. Which is the trading, not the actual stock trading floor, but it's a place where you make millions of dollars worth of deals by just standing. On a floor, and there are some people down there, and you make some hand gestures.
A trading hub.
Right, trading hub, exactly. So what he told me was that when I don't need contracts. I don't need my word is my contract, and that stuck with me. And I think it's the same out here. It's a lot easier to do business out here in the U.S. I never knew that it would take me less than 20 minutes to incorporate a company and get it up and running in less than 2 days.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing.
Right, so, and especially coming from India, you appreciate, the freedom to do business here a lot more. And especially if you have something to offer, mm-hmm. You can, make your way and make it, on your own. So that is something which was, very appreciated. Mm-hmm.
So you come from a business background, but still, starting your own company, going into the business world, it's kind of a risky thing. So how did your parents feel about that decision? Were they very supportive, or were they like,
No, I didn't tell my parents.
Oh,
As a matter of fact, I did not. And my dad, unlike my granddad, was very risk averse. So it was ingrained in me, before I decided to do something on my own, and that's why it took me 17 years to actually go on my own. I mean, as a matter of fact, 20 years, because I did work in corporate America for more than, before Verizon, I used to work for some other companies. It took me a while.
Yeah.
It absolutely took me a while. It took me about exactly 3 years to actually plan my exit strategy.
Oh, wow, okay.
And I didn't tell my parents,
Wow.
because I was a sole owner, right? And with 3 kids. So it took a little bit of planning, but
Yeah.
but if you do plan it well, you can make it. I mean,
It'll pay off.
it'll pay off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So how did you get involved in MindBoard then?
MindBoard was a company that was started by my wife. She's also got an entrepreneurial bug. I mean,
Okay.
she's
Bitten
more
by the entrepreneur
right,
bug, yeah.
exactly. So the way it happened was that she incorporated this company in 2011, and we decided that we absolutely wanted freedom to do things on our own. But obviously, we wanted to do something which was more relevant to what with our background. Having spent so many years with a telecommunication firm, we were always looking for doing something in the same space.
Yeah.
So at that time, in 2011, one of the reasons, the impetus to start the company, I'm glad that you didn't ask me why did I name the company MindBoard. That's a different story altogether.
Oh, okay.
But Sprint was in the process, Sprint being the 3rd largest carrier,
Yeah.
wireless carrier in the U.S. I still think that they are. They were in the process of upgrading their network to 4G LTE just to compete with AT&T and Verizon.
Yeah.
And there was a big opportunity because they were looking for a lot of people, and we had the expertise.
Okay.
So that's when we got started. I had to make about 25 to 30 phone calls to the same person before he
my
picked up my
goodness.
phone, over a period of 3 months before we actually got a first engagement.
Oh, wow.
Right, but 2 years into the process, I gathered enough courage, and there was enough of revenue coming in from the mill that I could gather up the courage and say, okay, enough
Yeah.
is enough, and now is a good time.
Take that extra
Right.
step
Take
and
that extra
move
step.
forward. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So would you be able to talk a little bit about what MindBoard does?
Absolutely. I mean, MindBoard, is an enterprise modernization firm with product innovation at its core. And what we do is to help our clients improve their day-to-day operations across corporate functions.
Okay.
The way we are organized, as I said, the core of the company is product innovation. So we actually have about 7 to 8 products in the pipeline. A couple of them are already hit the street. So that is one piece. We are also strategic partners with companies like Oracle, EMC, and Google.
Okay.
Right. And
Wow. Yeah.
right, which
Some
is
big
pretty,
names out
some
there,
big
yeah.
names, but obviously we think our products are somewhat better than some of our competitors,
Okay.
including our strategic partners. So we take these products, and then we have another practice which is called business consulting. What this practice does is that it employs business process consultants that do business process re-engineering. Take a look at your end-to-end workflows, your people, process, and technology, how people use technology and do their day-to-day work, and we make recommendations how to improve their operations. And finally, we have a practice that does technology implementation, that does an end-to-end implementation, application development, starting from the product ideation to the actual implementation and post-production support.
Wow. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
sounds like a very forward-thinking company. There's a big market out there for employing different technologies and really utilizing the force of the internet in order to modernize things. So it sounds
Right.
very good. Yeah.
But there's a flip side to it too. I
Really?
mean, everybody who I tell, when I'm, there's usually, when you're in an elevator and if you're pitching to a new client, you have to be focused.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, we are all over the place. We haven't really found what we want to do when we grow up, but
you never really know.
We never really know. Yes. But we are trying to do everything. But again, the core is our product innovation. We are not losing that sight. These other two practices, such as business consulting and services, is actually funneling all the funds into doing R&D for our product innovation.
So with MindBoard, I know you mentioned, with working with Sprint and everything. So what would you have considered to be your pivot point, or the point where you said, okay, this is what I'm going to dedicate my time to and move forward with this?
Right. As I said, I mean, the real pivot hasn't really occurred yet.
Okay.
But there were several pivot points, right? I mean, as I said, I tried starting the company several times, and it failed.
Yeah.
But I just didn't give up.
Yeah.
Right?
Persistence. Right.
Persistence was the key.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but it was just that this was meant to be done. In 2009, I started writing a business case about a product. Not going to go into the details here, but 2008, 2009 timeframe, the economy was going down.
Yeah,
right?
recession time.
Recession time, right? So we did file a patent. We had a prototype, which was going to revolutionize, which will eventually, the product is pretty slick. But at that time, we tried to raise, some money, and the angels, who were in business for the last 30 years, they actually wrapped up.
Oh,
right?
okay. Yeah.
So that I just can't call that as a pivot point. But the pivot point in 2013, the reason why it was 2013 was, when I look back, was given that, as I was telling you, that Verizon was in the process of implementing largest CRM solution that they were using, for the last 20 years.
Yeah.
And there were about 15 people that were displaced. And on the other side, we had a county within Maryland who was looking to do the same implementation with resources that Verizon was displacing. So I packaged these two together, and what somebody's loss is somebody's gain.
Yeah, always.
And that actually helped us, helped me pivot.
Okay.
Not the company, but it helped me, gain a contract with the county, and that allowed us to, allowed me to quit and do this full time.
Okay. So if you could have one piece of advice that you would give to anyone aspiring to be an entrepreneur or just involved in the business world, what would that piece of advice be?
Don't give up. Learn from your faults, and don't spread yourself too thin.
Yeah.
Because engineers and people. I mean, there are so many choices nowadays that are available to people. Forget about entrepreneurs, right? I mean, it's difficult for us to pick and choose what you want to do.
Yeah,
right?
always.
But if you are, an entrepreneur, you should focus on maybe 2 or 3 things, and then just go run it to the ground. And even if you fail, get up and run again.
Yeah. Great. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. Tune in next month, same time, same channel, where I'll have more interesting people from the business world. Thank you so much for watching.